Hey, how's it going? So today I got another little weekend project for the FRS. I finally found a pair of genuine monogram edition headlights. I've been looking for something like this for probably over 2 years now, and I've just never found a set that were in my price range or that I could get to before they got snatched up by someone else. But these, I think the wait was well worthwhile because I picked these up for less than $200. They're the real deal. They're not the frickin' Windjet fakes that look like cheap garbage. These are genuine Toyota lights. Now, the big problem is that even though these are USDM lights installed on USDM cars, they still use a different plug from the base FRS plug. These use an 8-pin connector, and my FRS has a 6-pin connector. So my lovely friend Nicole, because I helped her out with her radio situation, gave me these from her VLANs, which are 6-pin to 8-pin adapters. Now, something that's pretty obviously wrong here, at least for this application. I don't like how this GoPro stops recording. Okay, my GoPro's having a little bit of a rough morning. But something that's kind of not fit for this application is 3 of the wires coming off of the 8-pin side are not pinned to this connector. They're just loose. And if we look at the label here, so this is for the daytime running light coming out of that pin. This black one is just a ground. I'll have to look up the pinout diagrams to figure out where this actually is supposed to go. And then this yellow one is to tap into the turn signal, because on the VLANs, it doesn't look exactly like this. You've seen it. It's got like the boomerang, like the Subaru version. But on the VLANs, they have sequential turn signals that go across here. So that's what this yellow wire is for. It's to tap into your turn signal in the bumper to get that to work. But obviously that's not something that is necessitated here. So I've got these 3 loose wires now that I don't really know what I'm going to do with these. So I've been thinking almost to just take the 8-pin connector off and then de-pin the harness on my FRS and just plug it into this 8-pin face. That way it'll work on this, and then just do a little bit of splicing to get the DRL to work, because I don't think the DRL will work just repinning it. I think you actually have to splice into the high beam wire to get that to function properly for the USDM market, because I think if you just plug it all in, then the DRL doesn't act like a DRL in the day. It only happens when you have the parking lights or the low beams or the high beams on, and then it acts more like a Japanese model where these are not illuminated in the day, which I don't really like that, because I want to have the LED strips on as my DRL. I don't want to just have it off all the time. That's kind of stupid. And, you know, we mandate DRLs here in the North American market. So I'm going to go out in the garage and take off my stock headlights, and then I'm going to go on the internet and look up the pinout map, and we're going to get started hacking up some wiring. Okay, so I've got the benefit of my bumper has already been off for a few months now, so I don't have to struggle with that. But because this is a Subaru, the way the headlights come out is kind of weird. They like to use these strange half bumper, half headlight retainer brackets. So there's a 10 mil here. There's going to be another 10 mil down in here. There's a third off to the side. Oh, there's actually a couple on the side here. You got your wiring harness clip for your turn signal and your signal, your side marker. And then you got another one up here for the actual headlight. And then these tiny little plastic clips that I'm almost certain are gonna break, but I'm gonna use my little tiny trusty screwdrivers and pray to Jesus a little bit, and hopefully they don't break. So let's get the hard part out of the way here. There we go. Right on. Put you in the little OEM tray there. Alright, put my screwdrivers in the screwdriver hole. Let's go over here. Get this one out. I do eventually want to try and re-clear the headlights that I got, just because I noticed they are starting to yellow right up at the top where the sun hits them the most, like right up here, and I don't want that to happen on another pair of lights. So that's something that I'm gonna have to look into at some point in the future. But for now, I just want to get these working. That way I have one less task come springtime on this car, because Lord knows the grocery list is ever expanding for this thing, and I would like to get as much done as possible before it comes time to put this back on the road, so I can just enjoy it headache free. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I finally got my little oil pressure gauge from British Columbia, so I'm going to be installing that to do like a comparison before and after installing a Killer Bee pickup tube. And I also want to see what my oil pressure deltas are like with this Jackson Racing oil cooler / rad combo, because I've been seeing on the forums that apparently it drops your oil pressure deltas to very unsafe levels, but I want to see if there's any truth to that or not, because that was a pretty expensive piece, and it's not going to be cheap to get a standalone oil cooler by any means. And you know, I'd rather be 100% sure before throwing my money at things without even seeing firsthand if there's a problem at all that needs resolving. Because Lord knows that's been the theme of this build, is just go on the forums, see what the problem is, see what the fix is, and just believe whatever people are telling you. As I drop a bolt onto the air guide for the radiator. There we go. Alright. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, that's before. And then this guy. Oh, probably would have been to my benefit to not have put so much fluid film all over these bolts before attempting something like this. But then again, how was I gonna know that I would come to inherit the lights at this point, right? Okay. So, oh yeah, now I remember. Oh, I remember these, yeah. Okay, so that just comes off. And we're gonna dangle you down over here. Now let's see. Did I miss any? I don't think so. So now I need both hands, sorry. Okay, so I've got both turn signal leads pulled from the harness blocks, and so now I've got the white wire in where it should be, making this a 6-pin setup now in the 8-pin face. I just went out there and tested out this because I was looking at how they have this wired up, and it makes no sense how this works, but it does. It activates the low beam and the high beam properly. But obviously these two leads aren't hooked in anywhere for the turn signal, or not the turn signal, the white LED strip. So what I'm going to do, because I don't have any extra pins to do this correctly right now, is I'm going to take one harness plug adapter. I'm going to take one harness plug adapter, and I'm going to use these two unused leads, and I'm going to tie them together, and I'm going to put them where they belong. And then from there, we'll see about where I got to tap this positive for the DRL. I think it goes into the headlight high beam DRL, or wow, it goes into the high beam positive. So I'm going to have to tap into it somewhere along here, and make sure that it works okay. That way I'll have the DRLs during the daytime and not just at night. So I'm going to do that with don't have my wire splicing tool yet, so I'm gonna have to run and go get that. But I just wanted to lay out how this is gonna work in my head, and hopefully if I get this right, I'll have the LED strips working as well. Okay, so here's what I've devised in lieu of having the proper hardware to do this correctly. So that's where the positive for the DRL is looped into. It's looped into the high beam positive. And then the negative, I wanted to put it into the block. So what I did is I grabbed the wiring from the base model lights, and I'm using one of the pins in the block as a ground, and then I've got the other end of the ground stuck into the high beam socket kind of haphazardly. So we're gonna this stresses me out so bad. We're gonna wander over here and plug this nightmare in. So I'm gonna put you over here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And then we're gonna grab the light gonna plug it in like so. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna rest it right there. Now, if I turn on nothing. That's not good. Why didn't that work? Did my wiring come loose? Should come on with the parking lights. The low beams do. The high beams do. Okay, so the strip comes on with the high beams, but not with the parking lights. Let me try and... I'm gonna grab the key and I'm gonna see if it comes on just in like DRL mode. Okay, so I got my key. I'm gonna come into the interior here and we're gonna turn it on and see. No, it still doesn't come on. It only comes on with the high beams. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Why don't they come on? I think I need to go back to the drawing board because this doesn't make a lick of sense. It should come on as a DRL and with the high beam, not just with the high beam. Okay, so I figured out what my problem was here. It turns out in the stock format, with everything wired up as it should be, the DRLs do not come on unless the vehicle is running, which, as you can probably see, is not viable right now. There are many things that will leak that are not plugged in, and I also don't have an intake. So what I did, so I can at least show you how these DRLs are going to look, is I bypassed the 6th pin. Well, okay, rather than hooking in the DRL positive from the high beam positive, I just made another pin that goes into the parking light positive. That way, even though they're on all the time, I can still show you how the headlights are going to look. Now, something that's very crucial that you need to do so that you don't make the LED strips explode is you got to go in here and you got to unplug and remove this resistor, because what this does is it has its own little relay circuit in there that adds resistance to the high beam circuit on the factory setup in order to dim them for daytime running lights. And then when you activate your high beams, it flicks off and then it just goes directly to ground on the chassis. So then you get full brightness. And the problem with that is you'll probably blow up the fucking internal relay or the internal array for these LEDs, because these only use like 3.3 watts, and a high beam 9005 uses 55 watts at full tilt. So you can kind of understand why that wouldn't be good. So now got my rinky-dink setup plugged in. And can I set you somewhere? I'm gonna see if I can set you up. I don't have to come over here. Okay. So now that you have, so there is the DRL. Now that's the low beam. Now normally the DRL is not supposed to be on like this, but in this case it is. And then with the high beam, right? So that's how it's gonna look. Now when I wire this up properly with actual pins and I get the car in a drivable condition of repair, then you'll be able to see it properly. But that is the way you're supposed to do it, is supposed to hook the DRL positive into the high beam lead, because that is what gives the DRL power when the vehicle is on. Now something that's been kind of rattling around in my head is, since I have a 8-pin plug end, I'm almost wondering if I take the DRL positive from the headlight side harness and splice it and put it all on one pin into the high beam positive pin. So it would technically be a 5-pin setup then. Would I then be able to just bypass the adapter completely, pull all the pins out of the 6-pin plug on the body harness, reattach it all into the 8-pin, and then use it like that? That's what I want an answer to. And if you're watching this, I really hope that you can figure this out and put that in an answer in the comments, because I'm very curious whether it would be possible to make a true plug face swap to a true 8 to 8-pin connector setup, rather than having like a 6-pin on the body harness, then a 6 to 8-pin adapter, and then that plugs into the 8-pin harness on the light itself. I'm wondering if you could just bypass it all and make it like a super clean factory setup. But that's all. That's how you do it. Again, if you figure this out, please let me know, because I'm really interested in having like an OE++ setup on this car where everything looks, you know, mint, like it should have been there, wired up like a Monogram edition, truly. Okay? Again, thank you to Nicole for giving me these awesome adapter harnesses. I don't think would have been able to do this without her help. So thank you, and don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more content coming for this car.